Okay, so get this. We're diving into ancient Rome today. I've been really digging into Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. And, it's not your typical boring history stuff.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? You wouldn't expect, like, a Roman emperor dealing with wars and stuff to be so relatable.
Right, like peeking into this guy's diary. And he's got it all power, wealth, the whole shebang, but still stressing about the same things we do. The excerpt we're looking at today starts with Aurelius shouting out all the people who, like, shaped him, his great-grandfather, teachers, family, like laying out his philosophical DNA or something.
Yeah, and that self-awareness is huge in Stoicism. This philosophy Aurelius was all about. It's like acknowledging that wisdom isn't something you're just born with. You got to learn it from others. Apply those teachings. Keep refining what you know.
It's like he's a total mentorship nerd. He talks about how his great-grandfather was all about education, like, don't be cheap when it comes to good teachers. And that hit me because, well, it's so relevant now, right? Like, we're all about learning new stuff, always leveling up.
Totally. Recognizing how important knowledge is, finding those mentors to guide us. It's timeless.
Yeah.
And Aurelius really took it to heart. He also talks about this governor who taught him to trust his own gut, his judgment, not to get swayed by, like, political BS.
Which for a future emperor, that's a pretty big deal. Imagine the pressure to just go with the flow.
Oh, absolutely. This idea of being true to yourself, like having that internal compass, it's huge in Stoicism. And we can all relate, right? The pressure to fit in, follow the crowd. Realize it's like, nah, true strength comes from inside.
He even mentions this guy, Sextus, who he really admired for, get this, running his family with total chill, full of love, no anger. It's like he wrote the book on emotional regulation centuries early.
It's so interesting how he finds these little bits of wisdom just from everyday life, the people he meets. Makes you think about our own influences, right?
Mhm.
Who are the Sextuses figures in our own lives? The ones who just show us how to handle crap with grace.
It's like he's saying, hey, pay attention to who you're hanging out with. Like,
Yeah,
actually seek out people who embody the good stuff you want for yourself.
yeah, totally. And it's not always obvious. Sometimes the best lessons come from the most random places.
It's like when the student is ready, the teacher shows up, right? Speaking of lessons, going deeper into meditations, I noticed these themes popping up. Control over your thoughts, accepting the stuff you can't control, focusing on being a good person, like the Stoic starter pack.
And that's really the core of Stoicism.
Yeah.
It's this wild idea that what's going on in here, our thoughts and how we react to things, matters more than what's actually happening outside.
Which, for the Emperor of Rome, that's got to be tough. I mean, talk about pressure. How does Aurelius deal with that? Running an empire, but also, like, inner peace.
That's where it gets interesting. He knew he couldn't control everything happening around him, but he could control how he responded. He's like, you can't control what happens, but you can control how you react to it.
Instead of freaking out, he focuses on what he can influence, his own headspace. That's honestly kind of powerful, even if you're not, ruling an empire. Like when you're stuck in traffic, you can get pissed. Or you can be like, all right, time to listen to that podcast.
Exactly. It's not about just giving up. It's about choosing where you're putting your energy.
Hmm.
Aurelius talks about this inner citadel, this place of peace inside yourself, even when things are nuts outside.
Oh, he actually says, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul, like a mental panic room. But how do you build one of those? Is it meditation, journaling? Like, what's the secret?
Honestly, it could be all that. For him, it was about tapping into that logical part of himself, the part that could, like, step back and observe his thoughts and feelings without getting totally swept away. He practiced that every single day.
He even talks about this pretty hardcore morning routine. He's like, when you wake up, tell yourself, everyone I meet today will be annoying, ungrateful, arrogant. Yikes. Talk about a reality check first thing in the morning.
That does sound a bit rough, yeah. But I think it's more about accepting that life throws you curveballs. It's not about being a downer, but being prepared.
All right. Instead of letting that one jerk ruin your day, you're kind of bracing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And he even says to try and remember that those people, they're acting out of ignorance, not because they're evil. They just don't know a better way.
No.
Not to excuse it, but it's a different way to look at it.
It's like they say, hurt people, right? It doesn't make it okay, but maybe you can have a little compassion.
For sure. And that changes things. You can't control how other people act, but you can control your reaction.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Even when it doesn't feel like it.
Taking back control of your own feelings instead of letting someone else control them, easier said than done, right? Like trying to eat one potato chip, impossible.
Huh. It does take practice. And Aurelius knew that. He didn't always get it right. He saw Stoicism as a journey, something to work towards. He said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one.
Action over words, right. Love that. Speaking of action, it's interesting how he doesn't shy away from the big stuff either. He talks a lot about death.
Yeah, that's a big part of Stoicism. Not in a morbid way, but like accepting that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that makes them appreciate life even more.
There's this line where he compares life to a play. He's like, it matters not how long you live, but how well you play your part. Quality over quantity.
Yes. And that hit me hard. It changes everything, doesn't it? If you remember life is short, you start living differently, enjoying every moment, focusing on the things that truly matter.
It's like a kick in the butt to stop sweating the small stuff and really start living. Because, like he says, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think.
Right. And this connects to another Stoic idea, accepting change. They believe the universe is always changing, so fighting it is pointless.
Like swimming upstream, you'll just wear yourself out. Better to just go with the flow, like nature does.
Exactly. It's learning to dance with life, the good and the bad, knowing it's all temporary. That's got to be freeing, especially when things feel so chaotic.
It's like we've got some say in the matter, right? We're not just along for the ride.
Absolutely. We've got agency. We get to choose how we react, even when life throws us those curveballs.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to Aurelius and this idea of living in tune with our nature.
We've touched on it, but what does that actually look like day to day?
Well, for him, it's about tapping into our rationality, that side of us that's all about reason, virtue, being good, the stuff that separates us from animals, basically. It's about seeing the potential for good we all have and, well, trying to live up to it.
So it's not just about feeling good or dodging the bad stuff. It's about choosing to do what's right, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And realizing we're not alone in this. We're part of something bigger. Aurelius really stresses how important it is to act for the good of everyone, because our actions, they have a ripple effect. He even says, what injures one in a community injures all.
No man is an island, right? We're all connected.
And that connection is key. When we're part of something bigger than ourselves, family, friends, our community, whatever, it gives us this deeper sense of purpose.
It's like true happiness isn't just about our own little bubble. It's about living in a way that lifts everyone up.
Totally. And lastly, living in harmony with nature. It means getting our heads around this whole grand scheme of things, this massive, always changing universe we're a part of.
It's like going with the flow, accepting the ups and downs, knowing that even with all the craziness, there's this deeper order underneath it all.
And that's where you find peace, even in the chaos. You can let go of trying to control everything and just appreciate the moment. As Aurelius puts it, dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them.
Wow! Running with the stars. It's like he's telling us to zoom out, right? See our lives, good and bad, from this bigger perspective.
Yeah, and maybe when you do that, you find some peace. Something that goes beyond all the daily worries. It's that reminder that we are a part of something so much bigger and older and more amazing than just us.
This has been awesome. It's pretty mind-blowing that this guy, a Roman emperor from like 2,000 years ago, is still so relevant.
It really shows how powerful these ideas are, right? What it means to be human, trying to find meaning in life. It's universal.
If I'm taking one thing away from this whole deep dive, it's that Stoicism isn't about being a robot. It's not ignoring problems. It's about deciding how you face them, finding that inner strength to deal with whatever life throws at you.
It's about living with purpose, being a good person, finding a way to be okay with who you are and how the world works.
That's something we can all try for, no matter what our life looks like. So as you go about your day, think about this. What are you going to focus on? What little good can you do? How are you going to tap into that inner citadel, that quiet space, and find a little peace in all the chaos?
And who knows, maybe, just like Aurelius, you'll find that thinking about these old ideas helps you figure out who you are and where you fit in on this crazy ride we call life.